I was sitting in my car outside my childhood home in Ohio, the engine still running, watching the sun set behind the old oak tree in the front yard. That house held so many memories, most of them painful. My sister Karen had made sure of that. For 12 years, I thought I had escaped her shadow. I built a beautiful life with my wife Diana and our daughter Lily. Everything seemed perfect until one phone call changed it all. What I did not know was that my own wife had been part of the plan all along. Before I share what happened, I would love to know where you are watching from today. Drop your location in the comments below, and if stories about family betrayal and finding strength resonate with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to join our community. Now let me take you back to where it all started so you can understand why that phone call shattered everything I thought I knew about my own family. Growing up in a small town in Ohio, I always felt like I was living in someone else's shadow. My sister Karen was 3 years older than me, and from the moment I could form memories, she was the golden child. Our parents adored her. She was their firstborn, their miracle baby, after years of trying, and they never let me forget that I came second in every way that mattered. When I was 5 years old, the bullying started. It was subtle at first, the kind of thing parents dismiss as sibling rivalry. Karen would hide my favorite toy truck, the red one with the yellow stripes that Grandpa gave me, and then she would tell Mom and Dad that I lost it because I was careless. They believed her every single time. I would get lectured about responsibility while she sat in the corner with that satisfied smirk on her face. But hiding toys was just the beginning. When no one was looking, Karen would pinch me hard on the soft part of my arm, right where it would bruise but stay hidden under my sleeve. If I cried, she would run to our parents first and tell them I was throwing a tantrum for no reason. I learned quickly that tears only made things worse. The worst part was what she told her friends about me. I remember being 7 years old, walking past her bedroom door and hearing her say to her friend Jessica, "My parents did not even want Marcus. He was an accident. Mom told me once that she cried when she found out she was pregnant with him." I stood frozen in that hallway, my heart breaking into pieces I did not know how to put back together. Years later, I found out it was a complete lie, but by then the damage was already done. Our mother was the gentle buffer between Karen and me. She seemed to sense something was wrong, even if she could not quite name it. She would pull me aside and tell me she loved me, that I was special, that I mattered. But when I was 12 years old, cancer took her from us. Breast cancer stage 4 by the time they caught it. She fought for 8 months before her body gave up. After Mom died, everything changed. Dad retreated into himself, spending long hours at work and even longer hours staring at the television without really seeing it. He could not handle the grief, and he certainly could not handle 2 children on his own. So he did what seemed logical to him at the time. He put Karen in charge of the household. That was when my sister transformed from a bully into a tyrant. She controlled everything. What we ate when we slept, how the house was cleaned. And somehow I ended up doing all of it while she supervised from the couch. Every evening after school, I would scrub the kitchen floor while she watched her shows. I would do the laundry, fold it perfectly the way she demanded, and put it away. If a single sock was out of place, she would dump the entire basket on the floor and make me start over. She took my allowance too. Dad gave us each $20 a week for chores and school expenses. Karen decided that since she was in charge, she deserved my share as well. When I tried to protest, she went to Dad with tears streaming down her face and told him I had been stealing from her purse. He believed her. He always believed her. I got grounded for a month and lost my allowance entirely. The loneliness of those years is hard to describe. I had no one to talk to, no one who would believe me. Dad thought Karen was doing a wonderful job holding the family together. Teachers at school saw a quiet, withdrawn boy and assumed I was just grieving my mother. No one saw the bruises under my sleeves or the emptiness in my eyes. When I turned 16, I thought maybe things would get better. I met a girl named Sophie at school. She had kind eyes and a laugh that made me feel like maybe the world was not entirely dark. We started dating, and for a few months I felt something close to happiness. Karen noticed. She always noticed when something good happened to me. Sophie had a boyfriend before me, a guy named Tyler, who she broke up with before we got together. Karen made it her mission to find Tyler, befriend him, and orchestrate situations where Sophie would see them together. She planted seeds of doubt, told Sophie that Tyler still loved her, that I was just a rebound. When I confronted Karen about what she was doing, she did not even try to deny it. She laughed in my face right there in our kitchen and said words I have never forgotten. "No one will ever love you, Marcus. You are just a burden. The sooner you accept that, the easier your life will be." Something broke inside me that night. My grades, which had been barely holding steady, plummeted. I stopped caring about school, about friends, about anything. I nearly did not graduate high school. The only thing that kept me going was the knowledge that I would turn 18 soon, and then I could leave. The day I got my acceptance letter to a university in California, along with a full scholarship for computer science, I felt like I could finally breathe. It was my ticket out, my chance to become someone other than Karen's punching bag. I packed my bags 2 weeks before the semester started and left without saying goodbye to her. Dad drove me to the airport. We stood in the departure terminal, and he looked at me with tired eyes that had seen too much grief. "I hope one day you two can work things out," he said. "She is your sister, Marcus. Family is family." I hugged him and told him I loved him, but I made myself a promise that day. I would never voluntarily speak to Karen again. She had taken enough from me. She would not take my future. College in California was like being reborn. No one knew me as Karen's little brother or the quiet kid whose mom died. I was just Marcus, a computer science major who loved coding and terrible pizza from the place down the street from the dorms. I made friends, real friends, who liked me for who I was. I joined clubs, went to parties, stayed up late talking about everything and nothing. For 4 years, I only went back to Ohio when I was absolutely certain Karen would not be there. I called ahead, checked with Dad, planned my visits down to the hour. On the rare occasions when our paths crossed at family gatherings, I kept my distance, spoke only when necessary, and left as soon as I could. After graduation, I landed a job at a tech company in San Francisco. The salary was good, the work was interesting, and for the first time in my life, I felt successful. I was 25 years old when I met Diana. It happened at an outdoor concert in Golden Gate Park. I was standing near the back enjoying the music when someone bumped into me and spilled their drink all over my shirt. That someone was Diana. She apologized profusely, insisted on buying me a new shirt, and somewhere between the first song and the last, I fell completely in love. Diana was a nurse at a hospital in the city. She was kind, patient, and she listened in a way that made me feel truly heard. After a few months of dating, I told her about Karen. I told her about the bullying, the manipulation, the years of abuse that no one believed. Diana held my hand and said she understood. She said she would never let anyone hurt me like that again. We got married 2 years later in a small ceremony on the beach. Dad flew out for the wedding, and I was relieved that Karen did not come. Diana's family was warm and welcoming, and I finally felt like I had the family I always deserved. When our daughter Lily was born, I cried. I held that tiny baby girl in my arms and promised her that she would never know the kind of pain I experienced growing up. She would be loved unconditionally. She would be protected. She would know her worth. 5 years ago, Dad passed away from a sudden stroke. The news hit me harder than I expected. Despite everything, he was still my father. I flew back to Ohio for the funeral and learned that he left a will dividing his estate equally between Karen and me. I did not want the money. I did not want the house or the car or any of the things that tied me to my past. I told the lawyer to sell everything and donate my share to charity. Karen found out and called me that night, screaming obscenities, calling me every name she could think of. I hung up and blocked her number. That was the last time I heard from my sister. Until 8 months ago. It was a Tuesday evening. Diana was giving Lily a bath, and I was in the living room catching up on emails when my phone rang. The number was unfamiliar, but something made me answer anyway. The voice on the other end was barely recognizable, weak trembling punctuated by sobs. "Marcus, please do not hang up. It is Karen." My first instinct was to end the call immediately. But curiosity won out, mixed with some darker emotion I could not quite name. I stayed silent and let her talk. She told me her husband Greg had been abusing her for years. 5 years of escalating violence, starting with shouting and ending with hospital visits, she always lied about. She finally found the courage to leave him, but the divorce took everything. He had hidden assets, manipulated the legal system, left her with nothing. She was living in a women's shelter, had no job, no money, no one to turn to. "I know I was terrible to you," she said between sobs. "I know I do not deserve your forgiveness, but I have changed Marcus. I understand now what it feels like to be powerless, to be hurt by someone who is supposed to love you. Please, I just want to know my niece. I just want to be part of a family again." Something cold settled in my chest. This was the same woman who told me no one would ever love me. The same woman who took pleasure in my suffering for years. And now she wanted sympathy because someone finally treated her the way she treated me. "You made your bed," I said, my voice steady. "Now lie in it." I hung up and blocked the number. Diana came out of the bathroom a few minutes later, Lily wrapped in a towel and giggling about something. I did not mention the call. I wanted to forget it ever happened. But Diana would not let me forget. Over the next few weeks, she started bringing up Karen in conversation. "I have been thinking about what you told me about your sister," she would say. "People can change, Marcus. Maybe she really has." I explained again why reconciliation was not possible. I told her about the years of abuse, the psychological torture, the scars that still had not healed. Diana would nod sympathetically, but I could see she did not really understand. She came from a close-knit family where arguments were resolved over Sunday dinner. She could not fathom a sibling relationship built on cruelty. Then strange things started happening. Diana began going out in the evenings without explaining where. She would take phone calls in another room and lower her voice when I walked by. I noticed her showing Lily pictures on her phone and quickly closing the screen when I approached. One night I came home early from work. The project I had been working on wrapped up ahead of schedule, and I was looking forward to surprising Diana and Lily with dinner from their favorite restaurant. I walked through the front door carrying bags of food, calling out that I was home. I stopped dead in the living room doorway. Karen was sitting on my couch. My daughter was in her lap, playing with her hair and calling her auntie. Diana stood nearby with a smile on her face as if this was the most natural thing in the world. The bags of food slipped from my hands. "What is going on here?" Diana's smile faltered, but did not disappear. "Marcus, just hear me out. Karen reached out to me a few weeks ago. She wanted to apologize to make things right. I thought if you just saw her with Lily, if you saw how much she has changed. Get out." I was looking directly at Karen. "Get out of my house right now." Karen's eyes filled with tears. "Marcus, please. I just wanted to meet my niece. I wanted to be part of your family. I have no one else." "You are being unreasonable," Diana said, stepping toward me. "She has been through something terrible. She needs support, not rejection. She is your sister." I walked across the room, picked up Lily despite her protests, and carried her to her bedroom. I locked the door behind us and held her while she asked why Daddy looked so angry. I did not have an answer she could understand. That night, after Karen finally left and Lily was asleep, Diana and I had the worst argument of our marriage. She accused me of being cold and unforgiving. I accused her of going behind my back and involving our daughter in something I explicitly said I did not want. We went to bed in silence, sleeping on opposite sides like strangers. I could not sleep. Something about Diana's behavior was bothering me beyond the obvious betrayal. The way she talked about Karen with familiarity rather than the neutral concern of a stranger. The way she seemed to know details about my sister's life that I had never shared. At 3 a.m, I got out of bed and found Diana's phone charging in the kitchen. I knew her passcode. She had never hidden it from me. My hands were shaking as I opened her messages. What I found destroyed the last remaining piece of my heart. There were messages between Diana and Karen going back more than 2 years. 2 years before that phone call. 2 years of planning, scheming, plotting behind my back. Diana had written, "Do not worry. I will make him forgive you. Just give me time." Karen had responded, "Thank you. You are the only real friend I have. Once I get close to Lily, everything will fall into place." I scrolled further back, my stomach churning. They had met in college, it turned out. They were sorority sisters, best friends, two people who had stayed in touch all these years. Diana knew exactly who Karen was when she spilled that drink on me at the concert. Our entire relationship was built on a lie. Everything I believed about my life crumbled in that moment. My marriage, my fresh start, the family I thought I had built from scratch. All of it was engineered by the sister who had spent my childhood making me miserable. I did not confront Diana immediately. I needed time to think, to plan, to make sure I did not lose Lily in whatever came next. The next morning, I pretended everything was normal. I went to work, smiled at my colleagues, sat through meetings without hearing a single word. During my lunch break, I called a family law attorney. I explained the situation and asked what my options were. The attorney said I had a strong case for primary custody if I could prove Diana had been deceptive and had exposed our daughter to someone against my explicit wishes. I also called Aunt Patricia, my father's younger sister. She was the only family member I still trusted. She lived in a small town in Oregon, now retired and peaceful. When I told her what I discovered, she was silent for a long moment. "Marcus, there is something you should know," she said finally. "Karen contacted me about a year ago. She asked for money, said she was in trouble. I told her I would only help if she was honest with me about what happened between you two growing up. Instead, she told me a bunch of lies about how you abandoned the family and broke your father's heart. I knew it was not true. I told her not to contact me again. It was not surprising, but it confirmed what I already knew. Karen had not changed. She had just found new ways to manipulate people." That evening, I confronted Diana. I showed her the screenshots I had taken of her messages with Karen. I watched her face cycle through shock, denial, anger, and finally tears. "I can explain," she said. "I was trying to help you. Karen told me how much she regretted what she did. She said she just needed a chance to prove she had changed. I thought if I could bring your family back together." "Did you ever love me?" I asked. "Or was I just a project away to help your friend get what she wanted?" Diana opened her mouth to answer, then closed it again. The silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating. That silence told me everything I needed to know. "I want a divorce," I said, "and I want custody of Lily." The next few months were the hardest of my life. Diana fought the divorce at first, then gave in when her own attorney told her she did not have a strong case. The evidence of her deception was overwhelming. The judge awarded me primary custody of Lily. Diana was granted supervised visitation every other weekend. Karen tried to contact me multiple times during the proceedings. She left voicemails, sent letters, even showed up at my office once. I got a restraining order. The judge agreed that she posed a potential threat to my daughter's well-being given her history of manipulation. That was 6 months ago. Lily and I moved to Oregon, to a small town about 20 miles from Aunt Patricia. I work remotely now, which gives me flexibility to be there when Lily gets home from school. The first few months were difficult. Lily did not understand why we left California, why she could only see Mommy sometimes, why we lived in a new house in a new place with no friends. I enrolled her in therapy, and slowly she began to adjust. Kids are resilient in ways adults forget to be. I started therapy too. For the first time in my life, I talked to someone about everything. The childhood abuse, the betrayal by my wife, the grief of losing my mother and then my father. My therapist helped me understand that none of it was my fault, that I deserved love and loyalty, not manipulation and lies. Aunt Patricia has become like a second mother to me. She comes over for dinner most Sundays, and Lily adores her. She tells Lily stories about my dad when he was young, about the mischief he used to get into, about how proud he would be of the man I have become. I think about Karen sometimes. I wonder if she ever found the help she needed, if the abuse she suffered taught her anything about the pain she caused me. I used to hope she was suffering, that karma had caught up to her. But I do not feel that way anymore. I forgave her. Not for her sake, but for mine. Carrying that anger was like drinking poison and expecting her to get sick. I released it, let it go, and found a peace I never knew was possible. I forgave Diana too, in my own way. She made terrible choices, but I believe she convinced herself she was doing the right thing. That does not excuse what she did, and I will never trust her again. But I refuse to let bitterness define the rest of my life. Sometimes Lily asks about Aunt Karen, the nice lady who played with her hair. I tell her that some relationships are complicated, and when she is older, I will explain everything. For now, I just want her to feel safe and loved. Last week, Lily and I were playing in the backyard when she asked me a question that stopped me in my tracks. "Daddy, what is family?" I thought about it for a moment before answering. "Family is the people who love you and take care of you," I said. "Sometimes they are related to you by blood, and sometimes they are not. But real family never hurts you on purpose. Real family makes you feel safe." She nodded seriously, then went back to chasing butterflies. I sat on the porch steps and watched her, this perfect little person who deserved all the goodness the world could offer. We cannot choose the family we are born into, but we can choose the family we build. We can choose who we let into our hearts, who we trust with our vulnerabilities, who we allow to shape our children's understanding of love. I choose carefully now. I choose people who show up, who tell the truth, who treat kindness as a strength rather than a weakness. I choose peace over drama, healing over resentment, growth over stagnation. The sun is setting now, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Lily runs toward me, her hair wild from playing her smile wide and unguarded. I scoop her up in my arms and carry her inside, ready to make dinner, help with homework. Read bedtime stories. This is my family. Small but mighty. Broken but rebuilt. Scarred but still standing. And that is more than enough. If you have ever had to cut ties with a toxic family member only to have someone try to force reconciliation, I would love to hear your story in the comments below. How did you handle it? What did you learn about yourself in the process? Please share your thoughts with our community. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you have not already subscribed to this channel, so you never miss a story about resilience, healing, and finding your own path forward. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this community. I wish you strength in setting boundaries, courage in protecting your peace, and wisdom in choosing the people who deserve a place in your life. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you in the next one.